Hi everyone, this is Gary Wilson and welcome to tonight's live investor agent webinar, weekly webinar. And again, welcome aboard to all of you who've taken some of the other training programs, Flipping for Profits, Rental Profits Without the Pain, Turning Rental Problems into Real Estate Profits, and wholesaling is coming out actually the end of February. So keep an eye out for an email from Beverly. We're going to do a special webinar just on wholesaling on Wednesday, February 22nd. That'll be 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so 4 o'clock for all the Californians. Okay, so that's a special webinar, not part of our weekly webinar series. We talked about wholesaling a lot leading up to Thanksgiving and Christmas, and so we have everything ready to rock and roll for you guys. We're gonna show you that program and get into more detail during that hour and a half on the 22nd. So keep an eye out for that. But welcome aboard to everyone, particularly the new folks. I'm going to reduce my panel here so I won't be able to see you for a moment. And just remember to use the question box to post questions. From time to time, I will unmute you, and we'll discuss things verbally, of course, and then everybody will be able to hear that. If you're listening to this in recorded mode, it's because you couldn't make tonight's webinar, and that's okay. Everybody gets the recording. And remember, if you just do a search on your phone, on your smartphone, look for the app for GoToWebinar, and it's a free app, and you can watch the recording of the webinar on your phone. You can also watch it live on your phone, by the way, too. And you can also get another app online to strip off the audio from these recordings and make your own MP3. And that way you can listen to it in your car, okay? So just a little heads up there. Okay, what we're going to do tonight, guys, is we're going to pick up where we left off last week. Last week we talked about the school report, so I don't want to repeat all that. You can see on my screen here. Let me get back here. I've got the, of course, it's it's vertical, not horizontal. In any case, this is a copy of the school report. We went over it last week. I go over it every time I teach a class because it's basically the foundation. So for every school area, assuming you've identified your school area that you want to be working in with your clients, okay, very, very critical that you do that. The next thing we do is we want to get the zip codes for that school area. And sometimes, in some cases, it's a school district. So what I'm going to do is show you a real quick, easy step here. Hang on one second. It's in your training material, and the website is called zipcodes.com. So if you look up in the browser bar, you'll see zipcodes.com up there. Just remember, it's in your training material. I believe this is module 1, if I'm not mistaken. And save all of these links onto your browser, okay? So this is a shortcut to get zip codes. So assuming you've built your school report and you're using it to serve clients or for your own investing purposes, okay? What you can do is you can key in, you can Google the school district that you're looking in. Just Google it, key it in, and they will always tell you the towns that they serve, the towns and neighborhoods that they serve. Once you have those, you can come out here to zipcodes.com. Okay, free zip code finder. Typically, you can type in a zip code here if you just want to find that, get info on the area. But more importantly, if you come down here and type in, let's see, I was in Denton today, so let's type in Denton, all right, and that was Texas, so TX, all right, Texas. Hit the search key, all right, you'll see all of the zip codes for Denton. So if you guys are in Denton, Texas, you'll recognize these 76201, 202, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. You also get the area codes, okay? And this is really important, right? Because you need the zip codes to plug into the next tool, which is Melissa Data. So you can also download all US zip codes into one database, all right? And this is how you add it to you can put this, let's say you have a website you created for your clients, which you should, by the way. Everybody here you should all have your own personal website. You can add this as a little quick link onto your own website, okay? And you can also get valuable information on this. So let's just type in, some of these might be P.O. Box zip codes, I don't know, but let's just click on one. We're going to open a link in a new tab. Let that warm up there. and you can see all kinds of neat information. Look at all this stuff, right? You get the outline of the area number 1. Okay, so that's 76201 right near the Texas Women's College. I went right by there today. All right, and look at all this other information. Okay, average household value. There's census data. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff out here. Average income per household. Okay, so this is at the zip code level. Adjusted gross income, population by race, population by males and females, and you can see there's more females than males, and that's typical for most parts of the U.S. That is. Employment status, all kinds of good information. Gross rent, okay? What the average rents are for the areas, okay? I mean, just it goes on here. You can click on census information too. I mean, let's just click on see what pops up here. All right. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. I just want you to know that there is a lot of valuable information out there, and it's all completely free. So look, you get to see the breakdown by sex and age for the zip code, okay, which is really important to all of us, particularly if you're working with flippers. I'll show you in a moment how you get neighborhood specific. It's really important that you understand that the demographics and social graphics for your area, because when you're flipping is a business, okay, and when you're providing a product, your property is a product. When you're flipping a property, you're providing a product to a group of people. You want to go to areas where there's a lot of sales. You have people listing, selling properties, and people buying properties. All right. We like to see that in, of course, school area, which we've gone over last week. All right. So in any case, if you're thinking about who the most likely buyer is, it's a middle-class family looking to buy a medium price home with 2.3 kids. So when you're flipping, you want to try to flip as many homes as you can to that demographic, all right? And those people just happen to want to be in areas where other people have children. So this tells you that kind of stuff, all right? So very, very important information. In any case, I think we beat that horse. So the next thing you do is this. You've got your zip code information, all right? You know the zip code, 76201. Now what we can do is go to Melissa data. So I'm going to give you guys a second to catch up here, all right? Go ahead and write down any notes that you finished writing, any notes you were taking. Again, you can do screenshots. There's all kinds of things you can do to capture this information, and it is all in your training material, right? And remember, you can't go wrong looking at something and practicing something more than once. In fact, repetition is anybody who's a teacher, we have teachers in a training program, or a former teacher will tell you, repetition is absolutely the mother of success and the mother of learning, okay? Okay, so let's type in, what was that zip code, 76201. Let's key in, see what we get, 76201, okay? And you can see there's no P.O. boxes 76201. There's a lot of city routes, C for city route. There's no carrier routes. I mean, sorry, there's no rural routes, okay? Here, whoops, sorry. Let me go back here and scroll back up. I apologize for doing that. Hit too many keys at once. I'm going to reduce my panel so I can see everything you're seeing. So hang on one second. Okay. If you look at these carrier routes, remember a carrier route, guys, is synonymous with a neighborhood. Okay. So we can see in all these carrier routes how many businesses are there, how many apartments are there, what the actual residential count is, okay, the average household income, and the average property value. So if I look here in carrier route 2, C0002, all right, I can see there's 20 businesses and a lot of apartments, right? Some of you on the call here probably know exactly where this is. We see what the average household income is and the average property value. So the reason this is important is if you're looking for apartments for you or for your clients, what you want to do, guys, is focus on the areas that have a lot of apartments. There's one area here. There's an area here that nearly 1,000 apartments, okay? There's a lot here, 346, a lot here, 263, 278 in this one, 453 here, 512 apartments here. The reason is what that tells us is wherever there's a lot of apartments, there's a lot of rentals, okay? And you can pretty much see based on some of these average household incomes that, yeah, there's a lot of apartments in some of those areas. You look down here where the average household income is 65,000 versus 20,000. Look, 20,000 household income, 741 apartments. Lots of apartments, lots of rentals. Average household income, 65,000. Very few apartments, only 143. Okay, so you look here, 64,000. This particular carrier route, there's no apartments at all. Carrier route 25. So in this case, you can also see the average property value. Really interesting information here. The beautiful thing is, let's just click on, let's go here and click on this map view here. All right, so there's no apartments, there's 186 residents, and the average household income is average household income is 64,000, and the average property value is 162,000. So let's click on that map. All right, now this is the route. This is the postal area, right, where the postman takes the mail in this route. And what's really neat is, you know, you can expand this, okay? You can blow it up. You can see location, street names. Look at that, Parks. Is that Parkside? I think it was just there actually today. University Village Shopping Center, right? So, in any case, you can drill down as close as you want, and you get the street names and everything. Now, this is extremely valuable information. Let me just go back here for a second. All right. The reason is when you click on these map views, let's just click on another one here. Let's look at this one. Average property value, 191,000, 741 apartments. So I'm willing to bet there's some multi-units in this area. All right, some multi-unit properties. And sure enough, there's University Courtyard apartments, Prairie Hollow apartments. I mean, I'm telling you right there, there's a lot of apartments, right? So what you do, guys, and please write this down, this is really critical. Now you go into your MLS to start a search, or create a new search, okay? And before you start keying in numbers of bedrooms, numbers of bathrooms, whether there's a garage, all those different criteria, the first thing you do is you draw a polygram. So you bring up the map view first in your MLS. When you draw a polygram, which means you're going to draw a shape connecting the dots that basically mimics the shape. A dot, so there's a dot here, a dot here, a dot here, dot here, dot here, a dot here, a dot here. This is an actual polygram. They're using the same technology that our MLS systems do, okay? So essentially what you're doing, guys, is you're going to your MLS and creating a search based on map view first. And you're going to connect the dots to create a polygram that matches this map view of the carrier route that has a lot of apartments where your client potentially wants to look and buy, okay? So map views are a critical piece of information, and you can also, by the way, in your search, zero laser beam focus even further and type in particular street names, all right? You can even type in Prairie Hollow apartments in the remarks section and see if you don't get any matches there, right? In any case, this is how you start building searches for your clients, and this is how you start finding the right areas to be operating in. Now we could type in any number of zip codes. Let's just go type in 76202. Okay, now check this out. These are all PO boxes, so hang on a second. Let me see if there's any city routes here. That is all PO boxes. You can tell because everything begins with a P and it says PO box, okay? Let's go to, I want to find an area that might be good for flipping. So let's go to 03, okay? And submit there. There's one rural route and there's one business in rural route 0 in zip code 76203. Let's go to 4. By the way, if any of you want me to plug in a zip code here, just let me know, and I'll plug it in. Let's bring it up live on the demonstration here and see what particular zip code looks like. Actually, let me bring my panel back over. Hang on one second. So if you want me to plug in a zip code, okay, 71360. Let me go back in one shot here. 71360. Hang on one second, guys. 71360. We'll hit enter. Okay, and this is Pineville, Louisiana. I was just there a couple weeks ago. So let me reduce my panel here 1 second. And let's see what we got. Okay, we've got, this is a great snapshot. We've got city routes and we've got rural routes, okay? And you can see a huge difference. Look at the number of businesses in the city routes compared to the rural routes. Look at the number of apartments in the city routes versus the rural routes. There's one rural route that has 40 units. I bet that's a 40-unit building, actually. I bet this is a complex here, 200-unit complex. And let's just take a look and see where that is. Hang on 1 second. Bring up the map view. Okay. And there you have it, right near Louisiana College. So that explains people who were really doing well investing typically strategically placed their properties strategically around hospital systems, university systems, office parks, things like that, close to malls, but not right on top of them. They obviously like to see elementary schools in their neighborhoods, things like that, and high schools kind of not in a neighborhood but close by. All right. So let me just real quick. I just want to see who that was. Let's see. It is. Hang on 1 second. Bring up my attendee panel here because I can't read on the comment there who that's from. That is from Sandra. Hi, Sandra. How are you? All right. So let me see. I think Dottie typed in one. Let's just go back to the question box. And so, Sandra, I hope that helps you out, just seeing how you use this. So Dottie wants us to type in 30028. I know that's Georgia, because I was just there back in December. Hang on 1 second. 30028. Yeah, 30028. Let's see what we get. Oops. 30028. Submit. And let me reduce my panel so Dottie can take a look here. All right, there's a lot of PO boxes there. So Dottie, that's all. Oh, here, I'm sorry, here's the rural routes. Ooh, how about that? That's interesting. Okay, all right, so check this out, guys. No apartments at all. All right, I can tell that because the column heading on that column is for apartments. There's no apartments. All right, the residential count is pretty juicy in some of those areas. Look, 500, 600, 600, 500 again, 500. Oops, sorry, am I looking at the right column? Let me just double check for here. Yeah. All right, now look at the average incomes, okay? Average incomes are up in the close to 60, 80, 70, all right? Not a bad looking area. And look at the average property values, all right? So let's click this one, Dottie. Resident count 660, average income 71 grand, average property value 256, right smack dab where we want it. That's what we call within the median range. All right, let's go down here, and you can see this is probably inside here. Might be like a park or something. You'll see that sometimes, but inside this line here is where that carrier route was what that carrier route represents. Excuse me. All right. So you key in your zip code. You bring up the map view of this particular carrier route. I can't remember the carrier route, what that number was. Hang on 1 second. It was carrier route. We'll have to go back to get the actual route number because it's Route 6. I'm sorry, it's rural Route 6 in 3002. So what you would do is you would go to your MLS, bring up the map view, and start drawing a polygram search. Okay. Now, real quick, let me just go back here, because I just want to get a better idea. Actually, let me just do back arrow. Okay. So let me drop this down a little bit. Dottie, I think if you're looking for inventory for flippers, I would look in these areas. Remember, later on, we're going to show you how to use the letter to find these people in these areas who are more highly motivated to want to sell. All right. You've got a great price range. This is a great area to operate in. I mean, I'm willing to bet this is a good area for new construction too. Actually, hey Dottie, let me just type in yes or no. Is this a good area for new construction? I'll wait for your answer there. Let's see. Now we do have a question here from Teresa. Teresa, is it number of apartment units or complexes? So Teresa, that's actually the number of units, individual units. So in other words, if you saw an apartment count of 349, for example, that could be made up of a number of duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, 10-unit buildings, 20-unit buildings, 15-unit buildings. So keep that in mind. The reason we like to use it, though, is this. When you have more apartments, you have more rentals. And we know that because the U.S. Postal Service tells us that. They tell us, they call them non-owner occupied or absentee owner properties, okay? Regardless, we can always determine conclusively by going to our property tax assessment database, which we'll do in a few weeks here, and we can look at the property address and then look at the mailing address for notices. It's called the notice mailing address. If it's different than the property address, that's typically going to the owner, and the owner lives somewhere else, of course. So, and again, back to the question, I was assuming this was a great area for new construction, and Dottie says yes, it is. Now, the only reason I know that, guys, is just because I've done this so much for so many years. But you'll be able to get to the same point. You'll be able to look at this information and tell that this is a great new construction area. And if it is, keep in mind you can flip there, all right? But whenever you're selling properties and you're in an area with a lot of new construction, a lot of new homes are being built, you're competing with the builders. And they often can beat you on price, right? Now, it doesn't mean you don't flip houses there. If you've got a sweet deal, my gosh, take it and flip it, or your client said it is, right? Because a newly remodeled house will often attract people who want a house that's in really good shape. They just don't want to be involved with any kind of a construction project. They don't want to wait 6 months for a house to be built. They don't want to be tied up making all those decisions and picking all those colors and the doors and the doorknobs and the windows and all that stuff. Oftentimes they're in a hurry. So a flip could do well in these areas. The point I'm trying to make is sometimes it's there's more volume for flipping in areas where there's a lot more resales and less construction. That's the only point I'm trying to make there. So, anyway, so Dottie, when we speak next, let's get a little more fine-tuned on where you're going long term. I know we're doing your term. We're going to find your group right away. That's what we're working on now. But when it comes to providing inventory, we're going to get more specific on that probably the next call out. So, okay, good example there. All right, so we've got our zip codes. Now we've got our carrier routes. We know what carrier routes make sense for our investors. Now remember, you only pick the carrier routes that have property price ranges within the ranges that your school report told you should be looking in. Remember, the school report, first thing it did was show us by school area and by price range where we should be working with our flippers, right? So you focus only on those price ranges. In other words, if our price range was between 200 and 250, or let's say 2 to 275, this would work here, that would work, that would work, that would not work, the one at the bottom would not work. I said that wouldn't work yet. So this, that would work, that would work, that would work, that would not work, that would not work, that would work, that would work. The rest of these would work. So what I do is zero is being focused on specific neighborhoods and exclude the ones that don't make sense to be flipped. Okay. All right. So let me go back up here real quick. We've got our school report. Now we've got our zip codes from zipcode.com, and now we've got our carrier route data, and we can build our searches. So essentially what I did is I just took you through the sequence of steps involved to get your searches down. The next thing I want to show you is this. I'm going to have to bring up another panel, so hang on one second. Okay, here it is. Everybody write down in your notes Planning Commission or Planning Commission website if you want. Okay. Now the reason this is important is when you determine the specific neighborhoods and you're now looking for inventory in those specific neighborhoods, the last thing you want to do before you go get in the car is to validate, we call the litmus test, the neighborhood information. And all of that can be gathered from your local planning commission or planning commission website, if you will. Okay. They take data from U.S. Census, from your local property tax assessment databases, and a number of other sources. And they put everything out there. I mean, everything literally from everything you could get on census, you know, sex, age, race, religion, salary level, education level, all that stuff's out there, right? And just like in class, I'll use the example of age. You know, I can see that the largest segment of this population happens to be now 60-ish because they were 50 to 54 years old 7 years ago. That means they're now 57 to 63 roughly, okay? So right in that sweet spot where people are really thinking seriously about downsizing, moving, retiring, all that kind of stuff. Now we know that because we can see how many people live here in the 5-year increments, okay? And I can see the largest segment of the population just happen to be 50 to 54 years old. There's 399 of them, right? So the question you have to ask yourself is this: if you're flipping a home to your typical, what we call your avatar, middle-class family looking to buy a medium-price home with 2.3 children, does that family want to move to a neighborhood where the largest segment of the population is getting ready to retire? The answers are no. So they want to move to another neighborhood where everybody else has 2.3 kids. So in any case, you can see all this information here, and I'll just scroll down and show you some more of what's possible for the data. All right. Here we go. Household by type. Okay. Husband and wife, male, female, head of household. You know, non-household or living there, 65 or older, living alone. All this important, valuable information gives you a real clear picture of the area. So if you're looking to flip a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom home, you got to ask yourself, you know, if you're in an area where a lot of people are 65 or older, what's the likelihood of you selling a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom home? You know, and there's nothing. And I've had people say, "Well, was it that steering?" No, this isn't steering at all. You're just gathering information. Your client's going to make all the decisions. You know, steering is you won't show somebody a neighborhood. That's wrong. You know, let the data show you, direct you and your client to the areas that make the most sense for investing, whether it's buying rentals or flipping properties. And that's what all this stuff does for you. By the way, really important information here. Look at this here. I just happened to stumble across this. I didn't do this on purpose, but this is good information here. This tells you the number of and percentage of rental properties there and owner-occupied properties. And we can see in this particular neighborhood, 55% of people own and 44% rent. So I know, for example, I would definitely buy rentals in this area. Okay, I kind of hit that sweet spot, and I'm going to tell you what that sweet spot is. So get your pens and pencils out. Okay, give you a second to get caught up here, and I'll tell you the ratios. All right, here's the ratios for broadly knowing which areas to be in. Let's say you're looking to flip a home, or your client is looking to flip a home. You want to be in an area where the percentage of owner occupants is at least 62, 63%. In other words, it's about 2/3 or more owner occupied. If it's 75, 80%, that's just wonderful. If it's 100% owner occupied, chances are the values will be higher on average than the average middle class family can pay. Okay, that's why they're looking for medium price homes. Now, you could flip here. I'm not saying you can't flip here, but you want to flip in areas where you have more a stronger presence of home ownership, because you have more people, more inventory that you can buy and sell. Okay. Now look at the next number: 44.6% of the people rent. The ratio for knowing where to buy rentals is this. It's a range actually. and their range is between 1/3 and 2/3 and occupied. So this is right smack dab in the middle, right? In other words, if I have an area where greater than 33% of the people rent, and yet less than 67% of the people rent, that means I've got a range of about 34%. I like to see that range, and this 44.6 is right smack dab in the middle of that range, right? Now let's think about that. Why that ratio? Okay, well, let's say fewer than 1/3 of the people rent in that neighborhood. In other words, it's 20% renters, for example. I probably would not buy rentals there, because what that means is a strong home ownership area. In this example I just gave, not on the board here, but in the verbal example, if 20% of the people rent, that means 80% of them own. So if 80% of them own, that means typically the average value is going to be higher than neighborhoods where more people rent. And if that's the case, what that means is you'd be hard pressed to find affordable properties in that neighborhood that a person can rent for profit. So that's why we're saying we know that sweet spot is between 1/3 and 2/3 for rentals. Now, on the top end, the reason we like to keep it between 1/3 and 2/3, let's say you're in an area where 80% of the people rent. Okay, that would be a little bit unusual, number one. But number two is that tells you there's very little home ownership. So what that means is property values will likely not change much over time. The rents could, but typically the areas that are very heavily populated with rentals, the rental rates tend to stay pretty stagnant. They do not move much at all. Okay, now there are exceptions. Let's say you're near a hospital or university system and there's a lot of rentals. You better believe those rents actually will go up over time, and so will the values of those properties, because they're strategically placed around areas where people want to be. There are a lot of people want to be there. They're interns or residents. They're nurses. They don't want to drive an hour. They just want to be close to where they work. They like being in town. And for the most part, they're doing pretty good salary rise. So you won't have a problem collecting rents from a resident, okay, a resident doctor, or typically a nurse, okay. In any case, I just wanted to point out that this ratio is there for you to use. It's very valuable information, all right. Just one more thing that's available to you in this Planning Commission website. I'll just scroll down and show you some more things, right. Whoops, right. We can see non-institutionalized population. Which means, by the way, you can find out how many people are institutionalized, all right, living in homes and things like that, or halfway homes, excuse me, rehab centers, what have you. You can get an idea of how many properties, are ADA compliant, how many ADA people live in those properties, and that's important because part of your portfolio mix, this is just my opinion because I've done this before, or the portfolio of your clients, I think, should be made available to people who need wheelchair ramps and grab bars and things like that. And typically, it's not just that they make great tenants, but for you financially, typically you can command higher rents. And it's not that you go out and you're not trying to gouge people, it's just the ADA will provide grants for landlords to build wheelchair ramps and handicap accessible showers and bathtubs and so forth. And they find tenants, and they actually will place the tenant for you. And I've seen areas where guys, they will pay up to 3 times prevailing rates, in other words, 3 times prevailing rents for the area. So if your average rent is $3,000 let's say your average rent is $1,000 on a 2-bedroom apartment, and there's a need for ADA compliant properties, and you make yours ADA compliant. By the way, they give you a grant that you don't have to pay back. All you got to do is sign for it. The tenant does all the work. In any case, they'll pay you up to 3 times prevailing rates because you need housing for people who have need handicap accessible facilities. So keep that in mind. Wonderful way to serve the community and profit at the same time. We call that prosperity through service. In any case, that kind of information is out there too. You can see income levels. I mean, look at all the stuff that's available to you. How many people are below poverty level? All right. let's see what else here. You know, households last 12 months. I mean, there are all kinds of household income data, which is really critical for all of us agent folks and investors. Okay, and you can see when properties are built, how many properties were built in what time frame. All right, you can see how many properties are there by number of rooms. All right, you can see how many properties there by construction type. In other words, how many properties are there with 220 to 49 units, right? Makes up 7.9% of the mix of properties available. Look at that, 50 or more units. Turns out there's 430 of them. All right, 15% of the housing stock. 1 unit detached or single-family home. You can see 40% of the properties are single-family homes. In any case, again, you get a real good sense of how many multi-units. So when people say, well, there's no multi-units around here, I tell you, just go look at your data. You find out you probably have more than you think. You can see, you know, how many people moved in by decade, so you can see what's happening to what's trending for the population. In any case, you can go to census.gov, but the thing I like about these guys is they format all the data for you and present it in a user-friendly format. You don't have to figure out HUD, okay? Okay, but that's, I wanted to show you that piece of it. Let me go into something else now. We've still got about 15 minutes. So far we wrapped up the first part of the first module between last week and this week. All right, now the next thing I want to show you is, we're going to kind of skip ahead a wee little bit. I'm going to show you some free websites you can use to find foreclosure properties from the source, not from the MLS, but from the source. In other words, HUD, Fannie Mae, VA, Freddie Mac, what we call the quasi-government agencies. But before I do, let me bring over my panel so I can see if you have questions. And also, now's a good time to type in questions. So go ahead and catch up, guys, and we will move into the next part of this webinar in just 1 second. Okay, let's see here. This is Robert Erlin. Hey, Robert. I say, Gary, when I pull up Melissa data, I get this, oops, this page didn't load Google Maps correctly. See the JavaScript console for technical details. I'm not sure if you're going to do an update, Robert, on your Java update on your computer. You may need to do you should get a little icon popping up across the bottom panel. Your down at the bottom here has your programs that are running, okay? And or you can Google Java and just do a download and update there. I think it's free actually, but make sure you've got the right URL. So let's look at where my cursor is now, and excluding the last part where it says $zip equals 30028, eliminate that and have everything from that point to the left typed in. In other words, going to the left, beginning it from left. www.melissodata.com/lookups/cart, map cart. Yes, actually that should be let's say the cart lookups.cart.zip. So it's actually cart.zip. Let me go back here and see if I can locate that for you. Hang on 1 second. There it is. Melissa Data, http://www.melissodata.com/lookups/cart.zip.asp. If you type it in just like that, it'll work unless you've got to do some type of update on your computer. That's, I'm going to guess, Robert, that's what's going on there. So, in any case, let me see what next we got. Dottie says, thank you, you're welcome. Okay. Let's see. Teresa says, Gary, I was having a really hard time finding out which planning site has this info for Fort Worth. All I could find was info about zoning, development, etc. Okay, let's see. So what we can do is let's do a strategy call, or if you want to, I will play with that. I know you're in Fort Worth. Matter of fact, let's just go and let's just do this real quick. Hang on 1 second. This could be a good exercise. Let me go here. Reduce my panel. Excuse me. Okay, Fort Worth planning. Oops, too many ends. Commission. Well, I'm having a hard time filling in that. Let's see, put it off there. And let's hit enter. In Fort Worth, Teresa, I can't remember, is that in its own, is the city of Fort Worth a sovereign municipality, or is it fall within a county? If you could tell me that, that would help, because the reason is, I will tell you, the county websites are better than the municipal websites. As a general rule, that's usually the case. Okay, sign up for news. We don't want to go through all that. All right, so let's look at report. Let's click on reports. So this is fortworthtexas.gov/report. Usually there's a lot of panels here. Let's see, report. We don't want to report anything here. We just want to get, okay, let's check this out. So we've got about Fort Worth, website policies, accessibility, visitor information, events of Fort Worth, public information, financial information, open data portal. All right, so let me click on that. Okay, see, sometimes you just have to just play with it. I agree to the terms of use. So Teresa, I just clicked on the open data portal, all right, and I can see already I'm going to get a lot of good data here. So check this out. GIS is an awesome data source. We use it in Canada also. Local permit location map. You know, crime data, city data search. Let's see. Code. We don't need to worry about code violations, but in any case, you can see all kinds of good stuff. Whoops. Sorry, let me go back up here, guys. For 1 second. Restore to default. Let's just click on GIS data. And by the way, this is probably going to be too much information. And I'm not sure if this thing is still thinking or what here. Let's see. Let's try it again. Fort Worth GIS data. Let's see. Oops, here we go. Okay. So, Teresa, if you look at this, you start off with map views. All right. You can do downloads, data downloads. You can, let's see if we can get over here. Whoops, I didn't want to do that. Hang on 1 second. Let's bring that back out there. Let's do zip. And sorry, I missed the map view there. But what I want to do is I want to go over here and look at the data sets, right? Building footprints, bike routes, bike racks, benchmarks, abstracts, council districts, future land use, which is very important, lots and tracks, major streets, master thoroughfare plan, very important. So this will tell you what they're planning on doing in the future, right? Now, I want to go back here and let's see if we can find. We don't want counselors. I was going to look at some other reporting just to see what's possible. But before I do that, let me go back to the beginning. Go back here and let's look at permit location map. Okay. So Teresa, let me just bring my panel back over. Let's see, Teresa, just type in. This might help you get on the right track. So. Okay, so Jacqueline's asking, how did you get this report again? So what I did, Jacqueline, is I just typed in Fort Worth Planning Commission, okay, and then I went down to the bottom of their home screen to see what other pages they have available, and I found it under, I think it said data portal, something data portal, because I knew when I had that, when it said data and it said portal, that I would have everything at my fingertips. So in any case, and you have to play with it. Unfortunately, guys, each county, each municipality has their own website, and they're all used in different programmers. ADA, Tamara, is American Disabilities Act, ADA. Okay, American Disabilities Act. Let's see. What about Section 8 rentals? Yeah. So Troy, and back to that Planning Commission website, if you look, there was a section that talked about how many people were receiving a subsidy, so that's in there. You can see how many people. Remember, Section 8 doesn't deal with the actual physical property. Section 8 deals with the tenants. It's a tenant-based program. So certainly they approve properties for Section 8 rentals. In other words, the Department of HUD has inspectors in every municipality, in every county, and they inspect the units to make sure that they're habitable, they're up to code and all that. But the reality is the program is based on the tenant. So the only thing you're going to get on these data websites is how many of those people are in the area. They're not going to tell you how many properties are Section 8 compliant. They're just going to say, here's how many people receive subsidy in the area. So good question. Excellent question. Okay, what about, so we just did that. Let's see, this is an example I have gone through, example one. Let's see. I called, met an investor, Ray, who was attempting to sell his property, which he is rehabbing. Will be done in the next 3 weeks and has been working on the project since the summer. He used his own money. When I asked him, can I see the property, he mentioned I'm only paying $2.5 to the agent. If you have a buyer, I do not want to list because I have a lot of listing agents. I'm curious, would you attempt to get him as a client? If so, what approach would you use? Okay, let's see, that was from Fassel. Hey, good job, man. So, in any case, I've done a lot of transactions for 2.5%, but generally when I do them, it's because the property value is a few $100,000. I mean, if I can sell a property for $300,000 and I get 2.5%, I'll take the $7,500. Okay, I want to prove to the guy that I can get the job done. Now, on the other hand, once you're up and running and you're doing a lot more business, you can take a more proactive stance. So what I would say, Pastor, for this person is, let's say you're already doing 50 transactions a year. You can say, Mr. Smith, whatever his name is, Mr. Smith, I appreciate where you're coming from. I understand your desire to keep costs down. However, think about this. Every agent's an independent contractor, and they have a lot of cost involved with marketing. Now, if you're one of those agents, how hard are you going to work at 2.5% versus 3%? Okay, and you can't. Remember, commissions are negotiable, so you can't ever say this is just what we charge. You can't do that. You want to negotiate. But I would, once you start having multiple transactions and you're doing 50 a year, then you can walk the talk. You can say, look, this is what I was able to accomplish last year, and show him statistics like your average property sold in 30 days. Your average property sold for 98% of list value, or maybe over list value. You can also show him stats from your office, Fassel, and show that the agents in your community, your office, does better than the surrounding area as far as selling properties quickly and for close to list price. So in other words, what you're trying to convey to him is that you're worth the extra 0.5%. He's going to gain far more by working with you and giving you what you need to do your job the best that you can. So in any case, in the beginning though, just take the 2.5%. But down the road, you want to kind of take a firm position, and you'll be more able to do it. You'll have more competence and more confidence. So that's an excellent question. And just again, show them stats. That's the best way to show people why they should be working with you. Okay, Teresa says Tarrant County. So let's type in Tarrant County. Let's go back here and reduce this. So hang on 1 second. Okay. Tarrant County Planning Commission. Okay, and let's see what we get here. Okay, Action Tarrant County Transportation Planning. That's a little bit different than what we want. Commissioners Planning and Development. That kind of came under Fort Worth there. So let's see here. Let's go drop down and see what other choices we have. Oops, excuse me. Platting, which is very important, by the way. You want to see plats for the area. Zoning Land Use Commission. Boulder County. I'm not sure why Boulder County came up in there. Arlington, Texas, Tri-County. Ah, I knew there was a regional planning commission. This is Peoria, Pekin. I'm not sure if that's Texas or not, but there is a North Texas Planning Commission to be able to. But let's just go back up here real quick. Let's just let's key in. Oops, sorry. Let's click on, if I can get there, and see what this is all about. We're not really necessarily interested in travel planning, okay? But let's just see if we can get to a home base and start from there. Okay, Tarrant County, Texas. We don't really want transportation, but let's just see what we can find out here. Residents, click on that. Community supervision and corrections, community supervision unit, courts. Oh, so you might get all of your public records here, by the way, Teresa, which is good information. Let's click on government, and let's see. Let's see what we have available here. All right. Auditor, budget management, commissioners, court, community development, and housing. Let's try that. Let's just see what else is out here first. There's housing assistance, human resources, information technology, resource connection. Okay, let's just click on this one here and see what we get. Community development and housing department. Let's see what they offer. I want to learn about rehab program, consolidation plan, action plan, public service. Not sure what that's referring to. Somewhere in here, sometimes you'll see a link for data. So let's see what we have here. Home Investment Partnership Program. That's interesting. Housing opportunities for AIDS, persons with AIDS, mortgage, home replacement program. Okay, media inquiries, Public Information Act website. Teresa, what you might want to do is actually just call them. We've had to do that before, but I can tell you there's a lot of good information out here. I mean, I'd be interested to find out what all this is, right? Home Investment Partnership Program. And I guess I don't want to pull a whole lot on this because we're getting off tangent, but it looks like there's a lot of good stuff out here. And let's do this. Let's type in Tarrant County housing data. Let's see if we get a different website. City data, which is a good area. Real Estate Center and Extra Housing Authority right there. There's your census. Matter of fact, let's just go here. What's TAD.org, tools information. Tarrant County's real estate market is booming. Hey, Teresa, we may have just found what we're looking for here. Okay. It's TAD. Yeah, this is your appraisal district. So you're going to probably get some good information on here. I know we can go to property search, obviously. But, okay, account number, owner name, property address, mailing address, business name, blah, blah, blah. Geo reference, subdivision name. Okay, so Teresa, do you have a subdivision? If you can type it in, let me know. In the meantime, let's see. Natasha has a marketing question. Okay. I have a marketing question. I need to further build out my database by increasing my referrals. I was told that Send Out Cards is an excellent system that mails custom cards, gifts, database to keep top of mind. I have heard of them, Natasha, and I've actually used them, and I've had great success with Send Out Cards. There is another e-card system called Jackie Lawson, and for like $12 a year, you can send out all the cards you want. They're e-cards. They play music and all kinds of stuff. So in any case, great little Send Out Cards is a great little system. You can set things up so they'll send out birthday cards, Christmas cards, Hanukkah cards, Kwanzaa cards, what have you. Okay, I do endorse that. Okay, let's see. Tammy Fossil, Vista Ranch. Let's type Vista Ranch and see what we get here. Vista Ranch and search. And let's see what comes up. Okay. Your search did not return any result. That figures. Sometimes that's what happens. Let me go back to here. I wonder if we typed in, I don't know any georeferences, legal description, we don't have that, but subdivision would be nice. I'm not sure why it didn't like Vista Ranch. Let's just type in ranch. It's looking for an exact match or just anything with ranch in it. And I'm willing to bet in Texas, a lot of things are ranch. Okay, didn't like that. We got to have an exact match. So let me bring my panel back over to Teresa, see if you got another possibility there. Okay, Vassal says, what is the name of the card place again for $12 a year? Yeah, it's called Jackie Lawson. So it's Lawson, I believe. And Jackie is, I think, JACQ UIE. I think if you just Google it and get close, Vassal, you'll get the hit. It's just remember Jackie Lawson. All right, so let's do Myra Vista. Myra Vista. Oops, hang on, let's spell it correctly here. Myra Vista and search. Still didn't like that. Yeah, so I would play with this. This was just one option, but I want to go back because I saw some other really good possibilities here. Was it here? Let me go back here, and let me go back to the prior panel. Oops. Oops. Okay, city data, that's a good one, Teresa. But let's look at census. In any case, keep that in mind. TAD.org, Teresa, and just play with it. This is generally what we have to do for any area we go into. Just play with it, and you'll just get what you need. But if you're really want specific raw data, man, what I'm clicking on right now is this is the horse. This is where all other data sources are getting their data. It's from U.S. Census. You're lucky because they actually have it formatted for you already in what's called quick fact table format. Look at all these demographics. You can click on all kinds of topics here: population, age, sex, race, housing. Let's just click on housing, and you can see. Oops, sorry. All right, housing units as of 2010, as of 2015, owner occupied, median value, median, select the monthly owner cost, all this great information. Select the fact. So we got population, age, sex, persons under, persons over, all kinds of demographics. And if you look at this drop down, you get all kinds of criteria you can select from. All right. Economy, I mean, just amazing level of information here. Census is the mothership of all data. So just be warned, you could get really sucked into this. But Teresa, if TAD.org doesn't give you something that looks appealing, just come here. All right, census.gov. Click on that link let's just go back so you see what it was. Okay, census.gov/quickfacts/table. All right, and you could probably leave it at that, but this one, of course, is for Tarrant County. I'm willing to bet you could do the same thing for specific townships and boroughs. I mean, I know you can. And so if you type in, Fort Worth, you'll get the data specific to Fort Worth. So, anyways, real good stuff there. And this is how you drill down. So let's see. Teresa says you have to click on the radio button next to it. Oh, that's right. Let me go back to that. That was TAD.org. Okay. So let me drop down here again. Oops, sorry, I gotta go up to the search function. And I think that was property search. Let's do that. make sure I did the right thing. No special characters. Let's click on subdivision. Oops. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, so Myra Vista. Let's see, department, residential, and let's just keep that all cities and see what we get. Ah, now we're talking. Thanks, Teresa. Okay. You get it looks like every single lot is here. Get the owner's name, market value, of course, street address, unbelievable critical information. So this is really, basically, this is your county's tax assessment database. I would use this, Teresa, in conjunction with the one we just were at, the census data. First, use that one to drill down and validate what your school report is telling you, and then you can use this to get specific addresses. And I'll show you how to market to these folks here in the upcoming modules. You're going to know exactly what to say and where to send it to get these people to raise your hands. So good catch there. Okay, let me go down here and see what else we have. The radio button. Okay, did that. Natasha says found it. Excellent. There it is. JACQUIE Lawson.com/cards. So it's Jackie Lawson. That's for the send out cards. I'm sorry, for e-cards. Excuse me. All right. Let's see. That was Nick. Yeah, subdivision. We did that. Okay, guys. That was pretty much it for tonight. I know we ran a little bit over, but awesome webinar tonight. Remember, you're going to get the recording tomorrow. Just drop it down and save it on your hard drive and keep it forever. All right. Now, next week, let me see here. I'm going to be doing that webinar from, I'm not sure where, because I've got to drive from Midland to Lubbock, and I'm at Midland at 11, which means I'll be wrapping up around 3 or 4. I might be able to make it to Lubbock in time. If not, I'll just stay and do the webinar from Midland. I don't want to reschedule because every day I'm driving to another location in quite long distances, by the way. So, in any case, we're going to continue next week. Next week we'll get into some other sources of properties that you can use that are off the MLS. We'll also start to move in to, if you want to, I'll do things differently this year. Instead of going into how we analyze properties, what I might do is go into one of the marketing campaigns for you guys, show you how to make use of all this. Also, I'll look for the feedback from the emails. That's what I'll do, and I'll determine what we did over next week based on that. So, anyways, thank you guys for participating. God bless you all, and I will see you. Oh, hang on, we got another. Toy says, hi, Gary. Hi, Toy. Hey, Toy, if there was something else after hi, Gary, it did not show up. It just says hi, Gary, with a comma. So I'm not sure if you maybe hit the enter key too soon or something. I'll look for another message before I log off, but here we go. All right, looking forward to seeing you in March. Amen. I look forward to being there too, Tori. So, okay, guys, I hope you have an awesome rest of the week. God bless you all and your families. I will see you next week. And please remember to email me, call or text with any help you might need. And also, I want to know what you're doing, what you're working on, what's working for you, so we can help you fine-tune your efforts and get better results. Okay, you guys take care. Have a great night, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye.